Graduates, big up your nice clean selves. I see you all. I see you all. Big up yourself. Big up yourself. Let me just share the live as I come in. Hold on 1 second. All right. Share done. Let me see who's in class. Let me see who's in class. All right, let me heal up everybody. Ashley, big up yourself. Tasha Tash, big up yourself. Bayesian girl, good afternoon. Andrea, Angie Martin, big up yourself. Vanessa, my member, big up yourself, sis. Potting your naturals, big up yourself. Guyanese number 2. Hello, HDK and chats. Big up yourself. Girls are nice. Good evening. Good evening. Marencha, Drea 1969, Fat and Fabulous. Annetta Brown, Rosemary Lunan. Big up yourself. Definitely like up the live as soon as you come in. Thank you. Let me pin this message. Pauline Stewart, big up yourself. Indeed, you caught alive. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that's nice. It's good to see you. Nadine Jackson. Let me see who else is here. I already hail up Bayesian girl, my member. Big up yourself. Ingrid Barnett, Cassandra, big up. Lita Travels. Hello, Nicole. Liz, big up yourself. Vanessa, my member, big up yourself. Sis Andreen, Blessed Max, Stacy McDonald. That is it. That is it. Are you the same as it is what it is? Because that exclamation looked familiar. Angie, big up yourself. Healing Souls. Elaine Richardson. Crapsy Last Picnic. What a name. Good evening. Let me show my face a little bit. What up, Kelly? What up? Let me show my face a little bit. I heal up everybody, but then I'm a yard. How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing? I hope you are well. We've got some interesting discussions to have. We finally have a clue about Crissy's reaction to this whole situation. We're going to listen to that first, and we're going to go into some facts, as usual, some extra things I've discovered on the file. We've had a file update today, so we're going to go into that as well. Boy, oh boy, all is not well in Tinkerbell Town. No, all is not well at all. We soon have to give you a lawyer position. I don't want it to know. No, no, no. I'm just a good researcher. I wouldn't say that I'm a lawyer. Big up yourself, Open Topics. Andrea, big up yourself, Water More Than Flow in Jamaica. I hope the storm situation is treating you okay, Andrea. Yeah, I hope so. Doing good over here in New Jersey. Very nice, Ingrid. Big up yourself. So, I don't know if when I hear the whole video that's going around, it's been viral from this morning, and I'm pretty certain lots of you have heard about it by now. A viral video that's going around with Cmr'S brother speaking his mind about the situation. And of course, people are feeding back on that and saying that, him really is a waste man for come out and talk about the situation like that to defend his brother without knowing the facts, without knowing whether or not his brother is innocent or guilty. However, I think it's really important that we listen to a part of that, because in that is a reaction that I'm going to break down and analyze. And I really want you to hear it from the horse's mouth. So I'm going to start this live by playing that video. And I want you to listen to exactly what he said. And you're going to see why it is actually very important. So let me just go to that. All right.
share somebody a lot of things on the go on and watching.
Alexa, turn up volume 100%.
From honest, around to my phone. Look up on WhatsApp. Mrs. Son, people, and my friend mother send share somebody live things. So I go over and go watch it now. All if you say CMR get arrested from list. So I start call Nareda. Cause me I say no, I don't believe one on the internet because people say anything, to get views. Realize when now I get him. Zine. Ring, me now I get him. Me I call him wife, but maybe she does sleep or
Big up yourself,
stressed
Jacqueline.
out over the situation.
Hey, Norma.
For obligation for my brother. Zine. So me I call her, me now I get her. Me call Molly get Crystal mother. After Crystal mother and me I talk with her and say, oh, shall I call Crystal if you know what's going on. It's alright, fine. I'm obsession with Crystal. Me easy back out. Remember, so I call on Crystal phone. Hope I'm a friend, grandfather, no one. I've got to say, we didn't have the service, but we connect on my friend grandfather Wi-Fi and to see Miss Call WhatsApp Crystal. We call Crystal, she's actually on the next call busy and we call her, get her and she I ask her, I say,
Andrea, don't rush ahead of the class.
what go on the internet with Cushion? Isn't it? And she said to me, say, I want me see, and that I go on. So I say, what do you mean by? I said, talk to me straight, sis. She said, well, you see her that come. I said, okay. I said, all thing I can do? Pray. My brother do it 12-year-old and 15-year-old. I wanna feel like, him, I don't feel like, I think him man a file, I think him man I wanna feel like, I think man can't digest. I wanna feel like, him man daughter almost 12-year-old, and him man daughter wanna do even fame, I suppose at 12.
She's 13.
My original daughter, almost 12. I think she had 10 or something like that. But just I put it there, so. And then stepdaughter is 12-year-old. Bro, the man now look for not under yet.
I'm gonna pull it up again. I'm gonna pull it up because I want you to hear that live.
We didn't have the service, but we connect on my friend grandfather Wi-Fi and to see Miss Call WhatsApp Crystal. We call Crystal, she's actually on the next call busy and we call her, get her and she I ask her, I say,
remember, first of all, he called the mother. He asked the mother what's happening with Chrissy, what's happening with his brother. The mother then said she don't know, she's trying to get through to her. And she's trying to call to find out what's going on. Now, let me tell you something. The kind of relationship that Chrissy has with her mother, I can assure you that I highly suspect that mother knew what was going on, but did not want to be the person to misspeak, to tell him too much or to say what she enough is say. So she basically gave him a 60 and 9 for diverting back to the horse's mouth. So he went now looking for Chrissy and eventually got her after she had missed his call. All right, now listen.
well, go on the internet with Cushion. Isn't it? And she said to me, say, I want me see, and that I go on. So I say, what do you mean by? I said, talk to me straight, sis. She said, well, you see her that I go. I said, okay.
I'm not interested in the rest. That's the only part I'm interested in. That part right there is the only part I am interested in. After that, he goes on a whole speech business trying to defend his brother in the silliest of ways. Talking about, the fact that everybody is envious and everybody bad mind. The typical Jamaican diatribe that anytime you go against something, you must be bad mind, right? Okay. Now let's look at that. The brother of Cushane contacts the wife and asks what is happening. And according to him, this is coming from his mouth, the wife's response is, where you see, at that go on. Now let us assume that he's not lying. Let's say that this is the truth. Because remember, he's also another party. This is not straight from Crissy's mouth. And it's all subject to interpretation. But let's say he is telling the truth and he is actually quoting it verbatim, which means just as she said it. Does that sound like a wife that is concerned, disturbed, upset? Does that sound anything on the level of a wife that is worried and out of sorts or so depressed about what is happening? Or does that response sound dismissive? Like, don't ask me nothing, go talk to your brother. You know, see what going in a blatantly all over the place. You're not supposed to see what going already. What you ask me for? Doesn't that sound like a pissed off wife? Like, listen, the way me can't stand this man right now, me not even want to talk to anything of his lineage. So you as the brother, I go get it if you keep asking me no question. Does that sound like a wife who is really worried because them set up her husband and she knows them get set up? Me just ask the audience. Does that reaction sound like a wife whose husband has been set up and she's going down the path of, listen, me I go war for my man, you know, because, oh, them set up my man, you know, and my man would never do something like that. Does that sound like that kind of wife? Listen, we're going based on what he said. Remember, we haven't heard it straight from her mouth, but I'm talking about looking at human emotions, the nuance of language, how things can be inferred by what is said and what is not said. And this wife, her response to a very anxious and concerned brother is, let me pull it up, hear it again.
What go on the internet with cushion? Isn't it? And she said to me, say, I want me see, that go on. So I say, I mean, like, he said, talk to me straight, sis. She said, well, you see, that go on. He said, okay. The only thing we can do, pray. My brother I do it 12-year-old and 15-year-old. I want to feel like it.
All right, so he continues to defend. Now, let me tell you this. Clearly, this is a legal battle, and it's a very sensitive matter. Many are questioning, why is it that Crissy has not yet come out with a statement or a response? Such things need guidance. It needs a well-structured, well-written response in order to tackle it, if she ever plans to do one. And perhaps on that basis, she's trying to get legal counsel or whatever advice in terms of how to deal with it. But really and truly, there's a minor involved. So there are certain things that cannot be said, but you can still say without saying details, if that makes sense. Like, for example, listen, you heard what you heard. Listen to the difference. I'm just giving you examples. Listen, you hear it on the internet, you don't see what go on and a data go on. But let me tell you something, bro. Don't worry, we are fight. That's different from where you see where our go on. Where you see a data go on. Flatline. Nothing else after that. No indication that there is a fire to protect. She, at the end of the day, just winging it. Just winging it. Many tell us that she need to come out and say nothing to we. You see, this is what I can't say about some of us. We don't jiggy fingers, you know. We are speaking specifically about the brother. Me tell you, say me want Christopher come have conversation with me. Do I know these people? Does anybody on this platform know them personally? Some are on too enough, you know. On too enough. We are speaking about when she's communicating with her brother-in-law. How wrong with you? So based on what I'm hearing, the response sounded a little bit dismissive, or it could be the fact that she really cannot speak about what it is that's going on. She's probably been advised by legally not to say anything based on the gravity of the charges that are involved. You understand? Yes? So at the end of the day, when I heard that response, it did set off some alarm bells in my head. And we have to take it with a grain of salt. Because remember, say we're not hearing from Chrissy, we're hearing from a third party who chose to insert himself and say stuff about what she said to the media, which she probably won't appreciate, no doubt about it. Because if she's that quiet with him, she's not going to want whatever she said represented by him to the public, because she isn't even speaking to the public yet. And she would be aware that something like this would be picked up by bloggers like myself and any other blogger that's out there which is making this video viral. You understand? So I heard that reaction and I said to myself, wow, let's see what's going to come out of that. Is Chrissy concerned? Is Chrissy worried? Does Chrissy have other things going on in the background that she doesn't necessarily want to say? Has Chrissy fully been supporting her partner? Now, somebody mentioned there that Chrissy is the one that bailed him. Do you have evidence of that? Because I don't. I thoroughly went through all the bail documents that I could find in Orange County on the designated date. I looked within the time frame, and there was no evidence of who it is that actually bailed Cmr. So I know people are saying things on the internet, but I don't speak without something in black and white. Okay? Did you hear her say that? Say what? What is this? Did you hear her say what, blessed one? What do you mean? Explain yourself. Right? So I don't work with anything unless I see it in black and white. I haven't got evidence that Chrissy's the one who did the bailing. But what I do have evidence of is this. Let me show you. All right, hold on. I'm just going to share my screen. Give me a minute. No argument with nobody, you know. Because we want to know how uno come on bloggers channel and talk about how we take up too much pan we head. Don't you realize that that is what bloggers do? We speak about what's trending. If you can't handle the heat, exit the kitchen. Because your being here mean that you also take up too much pan your head, right? Anybody else that make a comment like that, you're out. I am not here to mess about with people, and I'm not gonna go to and fro. I will simply block you. I'm telling you straight up. Yeah? Because when you don't go pan any other bloggers live, go run on the fingers like that, and you seem to think that I'm some kind of easy pushover. Don't come over here. It's not hard enough. Okay. All right, let's take a look. All right, so here is so this, as you know, is the case details, right? This is the case details right here. And as I said to you, I am tracking the case. So every time there is an update, I can see that. And as the junker them try and take them, well, them take down my video yesterday because I exposed names, etc. I have deliberately, now, you see, want to make me advance, right? Now I have an app that angle the bangle, and none of this is going to show because I have gone through it, but I've deliberately left certain things clear so you can see that I haven't made it up. All right, so I'm gonna scroll in. Bam. So when I can see what I go on, what I go on. Okay. So we can see that it was filed then. All right, let's scroll down here. So I'm going to show you some things that I picked up on that I found really surprising, if not a little bit disturbing. Okay. And I'm kind of wondering what the hell is going on. What the hell is going on? So on the 3rd of November, we had a series of incidents that took place. You had here the complaint. So when the complaint happens, that's obviously the charges being entered into courts. If you notice, it says here that you've got, all right, let me start from the top because I don't want to confuse you now. You have an affidavit of insolvency and indigency. Can you see this here, this line? Yeah? That affidavit of insolvency and I can't pronounce it, I'm terrible, indigency. Do you know what that is? That's because Cmr put in an application for a public defendant. He put in an application for a public defender. Can you see that? The only way you can get an affidavit of insolvency and indigency is if you are unable to afford a proper lawyer, a private attorney. So he basically puts into the court that he was unable to afford a lawyer other than to take the free one from the system. To do this, you have got to put in an application form. Now, hold on a minute. I want to make sure. Hold on there. I want to make sure that you guys can see when I switch tabs. Hang on. So he can't afford a regular a private attorney. So he puts in for the affidavit and he had to fill out a form that looks like, hang on, let me make sure I pull up the right thing. He had to put in for a form. Hold on. Let me just pull up this. Okay. So he had to put in for a form that basically says that he is unable to pay charges. So here's the research that shows that that's what that's about. Yeah. So it says here, the affidavit shows on the face thereof that the applicant is indigent and unable to pay the charges described. So he's unable to afford a lawyer. And that's when somebody would go for a public defender. So having not been able to afford that, he ends up with a public defender. Okay. See that? And then there is the court minutes, etc., etc. Let me tell you something, in case you seem to think that that is not a big deal. We all see that these people portray an image of success, financial buoyancy. All right? Success, financial buoyancy, etc. These people show that they are, they're more than capable. Remember, they bought a brand new 5-bedroom house, freshly built, them do it up the most, them buy 2 big old expensive vehicles, blah, 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 a lot of affluence being demonstrated in the public eye. This is a 2nd-degree felony, and you're trying to tell me that there is no way that they could get a private lawyer who would fight aggressively. In fact, when you look at the evidence that's out there about how many of these cases are successfully overturned, it's very few of them that are. Most go down and get the maximum penalty. And it is recommended that you get a private lawyer to fight. You hear me? So that was a red flag. And I said to myself, why is it that, you know, they can't find this information? This must be really difficult for them. Why is it that they can't fight with a private lawyer, which is the best kind of attorney that you could have? But the expense of it is probably clashing with other personal things. It can happen. Let me see. Right? As I said, me not argue with none of them. Me just get rid of them left, right, and center. None of these things were bought cash. Yes, the VA will give him a loan for that lavish home. That is true. That is true. That is very, very true. But still, remember, they are YouTubers, they have earnings from YouTube. They have earnings from their regular jobs. I've got a list of all of the different businesses that they have. There should be some kind of contingency plan and protection when it comes to attorneys. When you are a public figure, you should have a family attorney at your fingertips, or at least an attorney that has to do with, corporate branding, whatever. You have to have attorneys at your fingertips. You understand? And really and truly, it's pointing to two questions. I'm asking myself, is it that Chrissy refuses to support him because financially she's the one really carrying the bag? Or is it that their money is just tied up in assets and therefore they don't have anything spare? But either way you take it, having a public defendant is a red flag in that you will get the very bare minimum of defense in the court system. And that's a fact. You'll get a defense, but they're not going to go above and beyond. I'm telling you that straight up. They're not going to go above and beyond. You are going to get basic defense. Now, it's either that they think that, listen, what's there as evidence is so weak, we don't really have to spend any money on this. Or is it that there was already a guilty plea? So I was reading something today. I seriously think the wife won't allow it, and this proves it. Some things are done on credit. Yes, we mentioned that before, that it could be that, right? But let's take a look, because I read something today and it really kind of made me panic. And I said to myself, hang on a minute. Where the hell did this come from? Because when I read that, that's why I made that statement on my Facebook, like, Lord Jesus, is what is. You understand? What am I seeing here? Who wrote this? But this is from, because, it's all over the news now. I want you to take a look at this entry into the Tribune, which is an online newspaper. It's also a physical newspaper, but it's more or less global. So hold on a second, because when I saw this, my heart just fell. Okay, so let's take a look. It says here, YouTuber arrested for alleged child M. All right. Here is the website. You can see it right there. Okay. And it's an established website. It's a news website. Okay, so let's keep going. And then it says here, Jamaican vlogger, his name, also known as CMR, says the date that he was arrested, says how many subscribers he has. Look at this. I'm not reading it. I just want you guys to read it. Me not gonna read it. Look. That line in blue. Read it. Possibly Antoinette. Take a look at that. Wanna see it? Hmm? Wanna see that? Now, when it is that people take, they are not gonna see the may. They are not gonna see the suggesting. All they're going to do is to take this, they're gonna run with it, they're gonna go all over the place, and they're gonna say, are the stepdaughter. Now, when I tell you that sometimes when people are reeling up and carrying on behaving like idiots on social media, they're literally reading things like this and taking from it that it's definitely her. They're not paying attention to the fact that the report suggests the case may involve and the suggest. They're not seeing any of that. And this paper has done this with his face. That's why I tell you, so when I say, Lord Jesus, look, nobody is going to read the may. Why do that? Because with reports suggesting the case may involve his stepdaughter gives the impression that this individual or whoever reporting this may have had access to the documentation. Do you understand? Something that I can't necessarily see, because remember, I have to wait until the website uploads the dockets. And if I don't see it, it doesn't mean you can't physically go in and get the paperwork. So these are the kind of things that are floating about that can cause great damage. But then I looked at this, which is this image here. I'm going to zoom in as much as possible. Okay. Right. Now, this was doing the rounds on social media as well. Yes. And one thing that was picked up by particular bloggers, because I heard it left, right, and center, is the case status pre-sentenced. Everybody was like, Lord of mercy, him already gone down feet. All of this bail bond thing is just a technicality. And Ray, because him gonna definitely get him time. And da 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 da. That's what everybody was saying, right? Everybody's saying, oh my God, he's been pre-sentenced. So I just want to explain to people what pre-sentenced actually means, okay? I want to explain to you what pre-sentenced actually means. Now, it does have two meanings. Pre-sentencing can happen once somebody has entered a guilty plea. If somebody has entered a guilty plea, then they can be pre-sentenced, in that the judge is basically putting together everything, and it's about basically pressing through with charges and a conviction because they've pleaded guilty. But CMR did not do that, and I think it's really important to recognize that he did not plead guilty at all, and I'm going to show you the evidence that he didn't do that. So just bear with me a second. All right, take a look. Okay. So I want you to pay attention to this line here. I'm going to just zoom in some more. Ignore the red things. That's just me blurring out information. All right. So if you notice here, it says on the 3rd of November, he did this. There was a notice. Sorry, too big. There was a notice. Hang on. Let me go back down. Notice of invocation of constitutional rights. Can you see that? Right here. Notice of invocation of constitutional rights. Right there. That means that CMR did not plead guilty. In fact, it shows that he was putting up a resistance. So this is what happened. He got arrested. He was brought brought before the judge, who basically went through the details of why he was arrested and asked for a plea, and then he gave a notice of invocation of his constitutional rights, which means he either told them that he did not wish to speak until he had his attorney present, right? I mean, there were three things he could have done, but he basically did not enter a plea, and that's what that notice of invocation actually says. So that shows just game, sorry, that was deleted because you put a name. Remember, don't put names in the chat. So let me just read what you said without that information. This is why she should come or even give a statement to say it was not her child. Yes. It would be useful, but like I said, I'm sure she has something. I don't know. She's got her own mind. She must know what she's doing. Right now, the more silent they are, the more damage is being created to their reputation. And I don't know who's advising them, but they must know what they're doing given the circumstances. You understand? And as I said, I don't know what legal counsel has told them. But it is going to create havoc. It is going to create rumors, and people are going to make allegations and assumptions about the situation. So he did not plead guilty. So that when people are talking about, oh my God, that statement shows that he had already pleaded guilty. No, he has not pleaded guilty because he gave a notice of invocation of constitutional rights, which means that he invoked the fifth and said, "Me not tap until the lawyer come. I'm not saying anything." Okay? I'm not saying anything. And that's basically it. His Miranda rights. That's it. Fifth Amendment. Excellent. Okay? Thank you, Norma. I don't know what is wrong with them. Let me put this at the top. Stop putting names in the chat. You guys are going to get yourselves in trouble, man, and my channel. So don't do that. Okay? Don't put any names in the chat. I'm going through documents. I'm doing it safely. I'm making sure that information is not being exposed unnecessarily. Okay? So just follow the leader. Okay? Yes. Now, what I do know that is quite important to a pre-sentence status is that the judge is going to look at not just what is presented in front of him at the time, but also the background of the person who is being charged. They would look at Cmr'S his criminal record, what has he done in the past, etc., etc. Now, in terms of Cmr'S background, he doesn't really have that much. We know about the DV situation that happened in 2021, but if you look at his record, he's got lots of things like unlawful speeding. There is one petty theft for which he was arrested, and he did get he had to pay a bond of $500 for that, or was it $500, because he's got petty theft of $100 or more, and he was only 26 when that happened, so that must have been some stupid decision. Other than that, he's done things like run red lights. He's driven with his license suspended. He's parked in a no parking zone. He's unlawfully speeding. He's not done anything other than the DV that's significant. You understand? And having looked at that, the judge would then say, well, is it worthwhile putting this person up for bail? Do they need to stay in? Are they a danger and menace to society, and so on? Him having bail gives him the opportunity to exit the jail system at the moment until he sorts himself out and has to return to court. So that goes to show that the judge didn't think that based on his background, that he was dangerous in terms of going out there into the public. Okay. So that's something that's not necessarily a bad thing that he got bail, right? But like I said, he got the 7,500 because straightforwardly, that's what is offered. And I'm still hearing people chat rubbish about the bail. So I'm going to show it again because I don't know why it is that people can't just read as to why it is he got $7,500 as bail. There is a bond schedule with default bonds, and there are certain things that have set rates, and that's why he was charged that. So as I showed you before, before they took down that video, if you did a second degree misdemeanor, it would be $120. First degree misdemeanor, $500. Third degree felony, $1,500. But his is a second degree felony. And that's why he got the standard default bond of $7,500. Okay. So it's not like it's just because of his situation. It's literally because of the degree of the felony and what matches the crime that he is being charged with. So he got the right bail for that situation. So it doesn't have any impact on whether or not he's innocent or whether or not he's guilty. It's just facts. It's just how the system works, and there's nothing much else that can be done about that. You understand, right? So it's important to note that pre-sentence, as I said, has more than one meaning. It could mean that he had entered a guilty plea, and therefore, the judge was going to just basically sort out the charges, etc., for him to return to court, get his sentence, and all of that. But that was not the case, because you can clearly see he pleaded his Fifth Amendment, or he used his Miranda rights, and he never spoke until his lawyer arrived. And in the end, he ended up with a public defendant. Now, it is concerning, and I don't care what anybody has to say. This kind of situation is so drastic that for you to end up with a public defendant puts you at a disadvantage. And you may not necessarily agree with me, but for those of us who understand the court system, I've worked with lawyers. So it's like, I know that a public defendant is not going to be the bee's knees of defense. You understand? And it might be what it is that, thank you very much, Kay. It might be what it is that they can afford or what he can afford, but it really puts him at a disadvantage. So there is a key question to ask about, well, what if he gets charged? Let's present the worst case scenario. If he gets charged, right, what is it that can be done to minimize the consequences that Cmr could get? Because we already discussed that, listen, this could go up to 15 years possibly, right? What could he possibly do to reduce his sentence, to make it less harsh, etc., etc.? So we're going to just take a look at what could be done to challenge the charges so that the result of it isn't so dire. Okay, so hold on a second. I'm just going to show you. What's possible. Okay, hold on. I don't want this to be too big that I can't see my screen, so let me just make sure I zoom in properly before I share it. Okay, some people are saying he can change his attorney. Yeah. We said that as well, that he can change his attorney. He definitely can. He can enter a plea bargain. Some people are saying probation, stay away from the family. That's if it has something to do with the family, right? Okay, so hold on a second. I'm going to show you the defenses against lewd and lascivious molestation that exists in Florida. Okay. And you're right. Let me stop my share. Thank you so much for that actual reminder. Kindly like up the live, please and thanks. Now it's 1K of you over here. And I really appreciate that you like the fact that I bring you facts and I bring you good information. But I don't think it's very fair that we are all sat here. I've done all of this to present to you and you can't even thump up the like button. It's the least you can do to support the channel. I don't ask for super chats. I don't ask for you guys to give me any money. I just ask for you to thump up the like button and appreciate the content so that it raises the visibility of the channel. That's all I ask. Every time you guys make content creators have to come out here and ask for something as simple as a like, which is free. It's like a holy pound sit down there, so una enjoy or una side eye me. What is it that you're doing? I don't understand. But it's be you a hater or a liker. Please to like up the live so that I can continue because I'm not going to continue until it goes up. Please and thanks. So let me see. Thank you. That's a lot better. Much appreciated. After all, come on now, guys. It's not that difficult, is it? Thank you. Tap the screen or just, if you're in the old-fashioned version of YouTube, just press that X and go to the thumb and click the thumbs up. All right? It's as simple as that. It's not difficult. Okay, let's go back to it. I can see the likes are going up. I appreciate that. All right. So I'm going to share with you the defenses. What could possibly be used as a defense against lewd and lascivious M-word in Florida? Individuals who are accused of these crimes can argue various legal defenses to have their charges dismissed or reduced. There are some cases where offenders are able to argue various circumstances in their case. Some of these include the Romeo and Juliet exception. The only exception to the mandatory registration as a sex offender falls under the Romeo and Juliet exception in Florida. So that means that do you know what Romeo and Juliet is about? That's about if you have like a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old that was with a 16-year-old, right? And something happens, or a 16-year-old that was with a 14-year-old. Do you see what I'm saying? And then something lewd happens, but they're both more or less kids or one's a borderline adults. They may look at that and think, okay, they don't need to go on the sex offenders list because they were both kids when this inappropriate thing happened. So it's only on that basis that they would be removed, excluded from the registry. These individuals are only able to petition for exclusion from registration requirements if their case meets the qualifying requirements for eligibility. They also can do mitigating circumstances. Now, when I read this, guys, this blew my flipping mind because I said to myself, how could they even put this in black and white? But I saw it for myself. And I was like, oh my God, okay, so you're trying to tell me this is actually a counter argument for such a claim? Me no know, but it never sounded right, didn't feel right to me. So anyway, in some cases, particularly those in which the offender faces a second or third degree felony, so this is in the case of CMR, the court can deviate from the minimum sentence requirements. These circumstances must present adequate evidence that any of the following exists. Now listen to what they're saying needs to exist in order to reduce it. That's, let's have a look. To deviate from the minimum sentence, take a look. Either they can prove that the child initiated the act, willingly participated, was the aggressor, or the provoker of the incident to backside. And I'm saying to myself, what? How is it that they're actually using a child as being responsible, even if they did do these things? How could that actually have an impact in terms of reducing your sentence? That's crazy to me. Yeah, that's absolutely crazy to me. And then the next one is the defendant requires specialized treatment due to a mental disorder. So if it is that they can prove that CMR has a mental disorder, and that's why he's behaving the way he's behaving, or he's done what he's done, I'm saying if he gets charged. So please, if we're not carrying news right. It's an if situation. If they can prove that he needs specialized treatment, no, Noriax, very smart. This is where the PTSD would probably be used. You are absolutely right. In cases like this, no one should have a PD because they will not have your case 100%. Thank you, Philippa. Most times you will be convicted, and that's facts. Listen to me, no man talk, no man, Philippa, you know what you say. That is why we pointed it out, right? Them fool that they are talk about it's some bad mind thing. Are you stupid? You have that. If you have a certain amount of financial backing, you really want to get the best for yourself. You understand? Sacrifices have to be made because this is something that can totally ruin your life, right? And it's still going to stigmatize you. Even when you walk away from it, it's still going to, if you walk away from it, it's still going to stigmatize you. And there are certain things you'll have to do afterwards to tidy up your image, right? But as I was saying, you either have to prove that the child initiated the acts. I don't even like that, but that's one. Or that the defendant requires a specialized treatment due to a mental disorder, or the defendant is to be sentenced as a youthful offender. In other words, too young. So that doesn't apply to him. You understand? They can also claim that the allegations are false or that they lack lewd intent. In other words, they could say, well, no, that was never my intention. That's how the child interpreted it. I did not intend for that to be the case, but that's how that was interpreted. Those are false. That's not what I intended to do. Individuals who claim false allegations must present evidence that the accuser was manipulating the child, typically the angry parents. So if it is that the parent of that child had a vendetta against CMR, then they could build a case around that to say this child was manipulated under the guidance of that parent in order to protect himself or to fight this case. You understand? So let's keep going. And then it says here that the accuser suffers from a mental illness or that the mentally ill parents influence the child. So if the parent has also mental afflictions, that can be used against them in order to fight the case. The defense for lack of lewd intent must show that there is no lewd or lascivious intent when engaging in contact. So I'm going to play for you something that I heard, and I tend not to play these things, but the court of public opinion sometimes has value, but I'm just going to play what was being discussed on TikTok. I don't want you guys to tell me what you think. I heard a lot of rubbish. I even heard that CMR was a teacher, and I'm just like, clearly they're not aware of the fact that if you are a teacher, you certainly cannot have a criminal record. But anyway, hang on a minute. So let me everybody pretending to be mental nowadays. I'm gonna tell you, let me just play this for you because I want you to hear what it is that this person said. Allegedly, these are all, opinion stories. I don't count them as fact, but listen to it. Hold on.
All tech man, I wanna know who that is to me. Cmr got bail for 7,500. Man, remember so we all tech man, I wanna know who that is to me and what them do to it. The difference is when your child comes to you and tells you that somebody did something to them, you must believe them first. So question the people them later. You don't question your child. You believe your child first, then you investigate, and then you let the police then do the rest of the work. He's not say proof, show proof. The proof is on the internet. The government will never release a person's picture like that with accusations like that unless they did what they did. And I am telling you, because the person that harmed me never fucking got their justice. I didn't get justice until I was fucking 22 years old. That's why I was 20. It happened to me when I was 16 years old, and I only got justice when I was 22 years old.
That's why I was saying, how them keep saying allegedly. If it was allegedly, there's no way them put foot up that something like that because it's allegedly.
It's not alleged. Auntie, let me tell you something. Auntie, let me tell you something. You see how this system works? You see when a young girl comes to the police and says this and this did so to me? Do you know what they do to the victim? They question us like we're the ones that are in the wrong. Like we are the one in the wrong.
Yesterday, I made a live yesterday, and I watch. It's not his, and I'm wife daughter, you know. Is a next lady. Because when them a question the lady, she said 2 years, she and him.
Keep listening. I don't even know how they can make these kind of accusations, but keep listening.
Together. She have her daughter at the house. The lady, she said most of the time, the little girl going to the bathroom, when the little girl come out of the bathroom, she not have her. Also can be, lady daughter. And she attack. It's like she and Cmr in a some consultation, like pulling up on something. But she said, Cmr leave out of the house, and when him leave out of the house, like Cmr leave him phone. Leave him phone in the house. So the little girl telling him like when she take it up, she can't pull the phone. And like the little girl said to her, said, Mommy, me can't pull the phone. And when the little girl pull the phone, he must see picture with the little girl. But she said the little girl always going to the bathroom, and when she come out of the bathroom, the little girl not have no. And so they say people them a cuss her on the live, and I say what kind of altar is that? You're not supposed to do that, because remember, say he's a man you're having at the house, and he's not the child father.
A friend of the victim, mother.
All right. So when I hear that, you guys heard that. Say this for you, because I want you to hear. Hold on. You guys heard that, right? So I don't know who that individual was. I'm not going to vouch for that person, but I'm going to refer to the first half of that same live, because it was all on the same live, where they said that there's no way they would put out his picture with such an allegation if it wasn't true. That's not the case, because every single arrest, there's a mugshot. And mugshots do not mean that you are guilty. It means that you got arrested for a charge, and it's a public record of the fact that you are the person in question by your physical image. It is just unfortunate what has been attached to his name and used in the public arena because of just the stigma attached to it, obviously. But it doesn't mean that it goes so. It's still allegedly. It's still an accusation that's yet to be proven. Because remember, as I said, when it comes to the fact that he first, used his Miranda rights, plead the fifth, didn't speak, He waited until he had his public defendant lawyer, and then he was presented in front of the judge. He had his first appearance in court. During that time, the defendant would have been identified, the charge would have been read, he would have been asked to enter a plea, and it's clear he gave no indication, neither guilty nor innocent. He did not speak. He would discuss the case with his solicitor and receive advice as to what to do going forward. And that's where we're at the moment, everybody. Okay? There's nothing else to report. We just are keeping a track of all the developments, all the changes that's happening with this case as it comes along. And if there are bits of information that are put out there that's not fact, obviously we're going to debunk it with fact. It's really important that we do keep the children in our prayers more than anything else. They are the ones who are suffering the most and will suffer the most where this is concerned. It is a shame that once again this man is in the middle of something sordid to do with, some kind of, sexual deviancy or cheating, or, it's just always around his name. His brother has strongly defended him. It does not necessarily mean that he's innocent either, but that's his brother. You can kind of understand his emotions are right up there. I wouldn't do that, because at the end of the day, you can support from behind the scenes, but you never know what can come out in something like this. As I said, Crissy's reaction, according to the brother, sounds rather cold in comparison to the gravity of the situation, and does bring questions to the fore from the public as to whether or not Crissy's actually supporting him. Was she the one who paid the bond or not? Is she interested in giving him support? Is it something that Crissy's will see him through to the end with or not? And I don't think those are unreasonable questions. These are public figures. So when you have narrow-minded billy goats come on platforms and say stupid things like man in the business, they brought their business to us. So when you are a public figure, you can expect to be interrogated publicly, questioned publicly. None of you are out there saying don't question about P. Diddy and his baby oil, are you? The moment something happens like this, particularly when it involves minors, it's a crucial debate that needs to take place, because it's something that is a concern to all of us. It takes a village to raise a child. It does. And when you have got people who are held up in high esteem and as examples, and these kind of things keep coming out of their households, you also have to question your own ethics if you carry on putting people like this as your role models. They need to check and balance themselves and make sure that their behavior is full of integrity, because people are looking. And yes, they're human, and yes, they'll make mistakes, but it's also about accountability. And I do not understand that head in the sand mentality, like ostriches, claiming that you must never question and leave people business alone, and Lord, everybody have a past, and we not say nothing, make it go on. These are the kind of things that will allow children to be emmed in your households and nothing is done about it. You understand? Ingrid, did you hear it? Did you hear the story? She was basically saying that, okay, I'm going to break it down, because I think because they edited out some of the words that are, flagged on social media, you didn't quite understand what she was saying. So she was basically saying that Cmr was having an affair with a friend of hers, and that this friend that he was having an affair with, that the relationship was going on for about 2 years, and that this friend of hers has a daughter, a minor, and that Cmr would be around the house where this child was, and that they had some kind of argument, and he walked off, left his phone behind. She wanted to go through the man's phone. Having gone through the man's phone, allegedly, were pictures that were found of her daughter in certain, obviously distasteful situations. She said that the little girl used to be caught going to the toilet, and when she's coming out, she'd noticed that the little girl doesn't have on any underwear. So maybe she was in there, taking pictures and whatever. To send to what is she suggesting is that she was taking pictures of her parts to send to the man. I don't know if this is true. I am not ascribing to it. People will talk and they will say all sorts of things for just being a part of the narrative. And like I said, unless it's in black and white, I'm not going to listen. Just like how I was over on what's his name's live. Wait, Obia man name again. The Obia man name where he had Spice. Wanna remind me. That the man, the RT boss, and he had somebody call in who was saying some rubbish that Cmr was a supply teacher and that he had interfered with a special needs child. You're always going to end up with people telling these blasted stories, people. We over here on this platform, we're not interested in the stories. We're only interested in the hardcore facts. Right. And at the end of the day, if my platform can help to educate and inform you about the process, because I know on my platform, I have got hardcore fans of the Carters. I've got people who can't stand them on my platform as well, and people who are in between either way and just learning about them. But at the end of the day, what they cannot say to me is that I manifest stories. What I will bring to you is what I have researched and what can help to shine a light on what's going on until we hear straight from the Carters themselves. Anyway, big up on a nice clean self, graduates. Make sure to like up the live on your way out. If you are new to my channel, please make sure that you hit the subscribe bell twice so that you get those wiggly lines on either side and you'll be notified anytime I go live. Okay, thank you so much for being a part of A Touch of Class with HTK today, right? And for those of you who behaved yourself in a class, you are always welcome on my platform. But if you come here to throw shade or to be rude, a quick hot block will be your portion. This is your girl, Hetty Chike, and I'm out.